Reports show that from 2003 to 2012, the number of American citizens who were killed in Iraq was about the same amount as those who had died in Chicago during that same time period. This is how the city got the alias Chirac. And in all of this street violence going on in the Windy City, there's still one place you don't want to be found doing the wrong thing. Real estate agents called it Parkway Gardens, but King Von and every other gangster calls it O Block. It's probably the most dangerous hood in Chicago, and in this video, we're going inside to find out why. King Von from Da-O. In the maps, it's called the 6,464th block of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. However, to the locals and mentioned in songs by Chicago rappers like Chief Keef, it's known as O Block. On one side of the street, there's a low-income residential complex called Parkway Gardens. On the other side, there are various places like an AutoZone, the Chicago Crusader newspaper, and a food mart. O Block always has a tense atmosphere. In the neighborhood, young men wearing low-riding jeans and hoodies hang out in the courtyards, giving intimidating looks to strangers. Mothers hold their children's hands tightly, seeking safety between their apartments and the neighborhood school. At the same time, surveillance cameras silently monitor the ongoing events. The neighborhood has a long history dating back to the early 1900s, when it was home to an amusement park called White City. But things changed after a fire destroyed the park in the 1930s during the Great Depression. In the 1950s, a 35-unit complex called Parkway Gardens was built, providing a decent place to live at that time. Interestingly, Michelle Obama briefly lived there as a toddler. However, things took a negative turn in the 1980s and 90s when gangs like the Gangster Disciples and later the Black Disciples started to take over Parkway Gardens. The neighborhood's name changed over the years due to the influence of different gangs and the violence they brought. The name O Block is a reminder of a gang member named O.D. Perry, who lost his life to gang-related violence in 2011. His death was said to be retribution for killing a 15-year-old member of a rival gang known as Tuka. Gaka Barnes, a teenage girl associated with a rival gang, was said to be responsible for O.D.'s death. Gaka met a similar fate around O Block. From June 2011 to the next 3 years, there were 19 people shot and killed in O Block, making it Chicago's most deadly block. Despite all these shootings, none of the culprits were charged with crimes, and the weapons used have not been found. The conflict between the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples only got worse over time and was also fueled by social media and rap lyrics. Rappers like Lil Durk, King Von, and Wooski have ties to the area and have been affected by the violence there. While others were affected in different ways, King Von was among the notable names who suffered a fatal outcome. He was born in southern Chicago and raised in the Parkway Gardens projects. Von grew up in O Block alongside famous artists like Chief Keef. He also formed a strong connection with Lil Durk, who, despite not being from O Block, had close ties with its members. Von was supposedly associated with the Black Disciples during his early years. While in jail, he earned the nickname Grandson because he resembled King David, also known as David Barksdale. People saw similarities between him and Barksdale, the gang's founder, not just in his behavior, but also in how he carried himself in the streets. Von had a long history of criminal activity starting from a young age. He was first incarcerated at just 16 years old, and 2 years later, he was arrested for carrying an illegal firearm. Moreover, there are rumors that he played a significant role in the gang's activities and might have been involved in the deaths of 4 to 5 individuals. Von came under scrutiny regarding the death of 17-year-old Gaka K.I. Barnes, but he was never formally charged. Witnesses pointed to Von as the shooter, but there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute him for her death at the time. Despite being an exemplary student, Gaka was exposed to the harsh reality of gang violence due to her upbringing. On social media, she gained a following by taunting her adversaries. She was allegedly responsible for several deaths and involved in over 20 shooting incidents. Efforts to reduce violence in the area involve putting more officers in the impact zone, a small 5-block area including O Block, and doing gang audits to identify gang members. They also monitor social media for threats between rival gangs, which has been helpful in some cases. These measures have led to fewer shootings, but challenges remain, and residents are still cautious and concerned. For people living near O Block, safety is a major worry. Constant threat of violence has a significant impact on their daily lives. Mothers feel the need to take their children far away to play, away from the frequent gunfire that has become a normal part of their neighborhood. It is clear that O Block is a death trap, and the ongoing gang wars create a never-ending cycle of violence. Unfortunately, King Von would be another victim in this vicious cycle, which started with Tuka and O.D.'s death. O.D. Perry's death. The events leading to O.D. Perry's death began with the killing of Tuka. So let's talk about what went down before O.D. Perry's tragic end. On January 12, 2011, Gregory Chantel, also known as Tuka, was waiting at a bus stop when a car stopped before him. An individual believed to be O.D. Perry stepped out of this car and had a brief conversation with the teenager before shooting him multiple times. Tuka lost his life right there. There's another version of how this murder happened. In this second version, Tuka's tragic fate occurred around 6:15 p.m. in the Woodlawn area. He was waiting for the 6 63rd Street bus with 2 others when a mysterious man carrying a hidden gun approached them, asking about another bus's schedule. Suddenly, the man circled the bus stop and fired a single shot that hit Tuka. He was seriously injured and leaned against a nearby trash can for support. At this moment, the attacker shot him 3 times in the back. He passed away before an ambulance arrived. No one else was harmed in this incident, according to the police. Now here's where things get even crazier. Tuka's own brother, Lil Mark, also met his end at a bus stop, and that led their rivals to nickname them the Bus Brothers. Tuka was associated with the Gangster Disciples in Chicago. It's believed that he was targeted as an act of revenge for the death of a Black Disciples gang member known as Edric Walker, or Ty. Ty's death was reportedly caused by Tuka and the members of the Gangster Disciples gang, so it was a never-ending cycle of violence and retaliation. After Tuka's tragic death, people started mocking him by calling him Smoked. This led to the phrase "smoke like Tuka" being used to describe a brutal murder. Over time, the meaning of the phrase changed, and it began to refer to consuming potent marijuana. Chief Keef was the first hip-hop artist to include Tuka in his song lyrics, using it in tracks like John Madden and 300. Later, other artists like King Von and Lil Durk also used it in their music. Some of these artists, especially from Chicago, know its origins, but others from different regions may not know its true meaning and use it as street slang for cannabis. There are also rumors about Chief Keef's animosity towards Tuka, which go beyond their different gang affiliations. It is said that Tuka used to bully Chief Keef during their school days, and there were even reports of physical altercations between them. Tuka's mother, Dominique Boyd, expressed frustration with hip-hop artists for not respecting her late son. She mentioned in an interview that Tuka had no connection to hip-hop, and those who mention him in songs are unaware of who he truly was. Now let's talk about O.D. Perry. O.D. Perry was born on May 13, 1991, and joined the Black Disciples in his early years. He was also associated with well-known rapper Keith Cozart, also known as Chief Keef, and you can even spot him in some of Keef's music videos. On August 11, 2011, O.D. Perry lost his life outside Parkway Garden when he was shot multiple times in the body and neck around 11 p.m. on 64 King Drive. According to reports, O.D. had become a target ever since Tuka was killed. Law enforcement sources claimed a 17-year-old female gang assassin, Gaka Barnes, or K.I., took responsibility for O.D.'s death. She had allegedly bragged online about killing 17 people. It was believed that Gaka wanted revenge for the death of her friend Tuka, who died 8 months earlier. It's still not 100% certain if Gaka caused O.D.'s death. However, a video that emerged over a decade later revealed that FBG Duck, another notable member of Gangster Disciples, was the getaway driver during the shooting. After O.D. passed away, his friends and gang members decided to honor him by giving their community a new name. So the place that used to be called Parkway Gardens Apartment Homes transformed into O Block. Interestingly, Tuka's gang also changed the name of their neighborhood to Tukaville as a way to pay tribute to his memory. But it didn't end there. O.D.'s death caused a major escalation in the feud between the Black Disciples and their Tukaville rivals. Rapper Lil Durk made things worse with his song Else Anthem, which led to both sides releasing diss tracks and more violence. The neighborhood faced devastating losses of young lives due to the constant violence. O.D. Perry's death, along with many others, marked the beginning of an unprecedented wave of violence in Chicago. The cycle of retaliation and bloodshed between the Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples continued with no signs of stopping, claiming more lives, including Gaka, a well-known hitter and rival of O Block, who was believed to have killed O.D. Gaka Barnes' death. Gaka Barnes may not have led 2 different lives, but to her mom, she was a smart and friendly high school graduate who loved music and had an adorable charm everyone loved. But in Chicago's South Side gangs, she was someone else entirely. They called her Taekwon Assassin and Tukaville Kira. Rumors suggested she might have been involved in her first killing at just 14, and some reports even linked her to as many as 20 gang-related deaths, including that of O.D. Perry. Despite being arrested multiple times, Gaka never received a conviction for a serious crime and was never considered a suspect in any shooting incidents. Even though she was notoriously well known, she managed to keep a relatively low profile. At 17 on Friday, April 11, 2014, Gaka became a victim herself. While walking to her friend's house in Woodlawn around 3:30 p.m., she was shot 9 times in the chest, neck, and jaw, ending her life immediately. It was believed to be in retaliation for O.D.'s death. Despite her untimely death, Gaka Barnes became a mythical figure online. She's remembered in solemn YouTube memorials and praised in rap songs, adopting the nickname Lil Snoop as a reference to a character from The Wire, a famous TV series. This character was known for being a ruthless assassin from a tough neighborhood. Now people associate her with that digital persona. After her death, disturbing photos surfaced on Instagram showing her holding various firearms. firearms. She looked young and exactly like the infamous shooter she was rumored to be. A member of her Flyboy gang expressed deep admiration for her, praising her fearlessness in exploring dangerous territories just before she passed away. In an extensive feature on Gakira, her mother, Chantel Brown, revealed that Gakira just wanted to protect everyone. Brown said she admires her daughter, even though she wasn't perfect. She also shared a special photograph of her daughter wearing a cap and gown at her graduation from the Charter Perspective Math and Science Academy. Brown wanted people to see beyond the social media images and understand that her daughter had dreams and ambitions. She hoped to build a better life for herself and her family. She explained that her daughter was not aggressive, but she would stand up for herself if provoked. Brown also said her independent nature and desire to connect with people came from losing her father at a young age. He passed away on Easter Sunday in 1997 when she was just a baby. This event fueled her determination to keep her loved ones safe, which influenced her actions as she grew up. Gakira became friends with young men from her Woodlawn neighborhood during her teenage years. They were part of the St. Lawrence Boys, or the Flyboy Gang, a subsidiary of the gangsters' disciples. After one of their high-profile gang members, Tuka, passed away, the neighborhood changed and became known as Tukaville. Gakira fully embraced this association and even changed her Facebook name to Tukaville Kira. When O.D. Perry was shot and killed 8 months later, Gakira was quickly connected to the incident. An online post referred to her as the Hitter. Even though the police didn't suspect her, some of her tweets after O.D.'s death made people wonder if she was involved. Surprisingly, she was just 14 years old at the time. The rivalry between Tukaville and O-Block continued, and disrespectful songs were being made. When Gakira lost a fellow gang member, she posted a photo of herself praying with the caption "R.I.P. Carlton" as a way of paying her respects. Gakira Barnes was involved in many gang activities and connected to rival incidents, but one event had a strong effect on her. It involved a 13-year-old boy named Tyquan Tyler, who was moved away from Chicago by his mother to avoid violence. Sadly, when Tyquan came back to visit in June 2012, he was hit by a stray bullet fired by adult gang members at a group of young people leaving a party. Gakira felt a profound connection to Tyquan and mourned him as if he were her little brother. In honor of his memory, she adopted the Twitter handle Tyquan Assassin. During this period, the rap scene experienced a surge in rivalry, with tensions escalating between different factions. Notably, one incident that intensified the conflict was when Joseph Lil Jojo Coleman, a member of the Tukaville, recorded a song and accompanying video that directly disrespected Keith and his fellow black disciples. In his song, Lil Jojo claimed "We BDK," with BD standing for Black Disciples and the K symbolizing killers. In September 2012, Lil Jojo was shot and killed while riding on the back of a friend's bicycle. Just a few moments before, he had tweeted his location, which might have made him an easy target. On December 25th, 2012, Joshua J. Loud Davis, an 18-year-old, was also shot dead. The reason allegedly was that he was wearing a hooded sweatshirt that paid tribute to Lil Jojo. J. Loud's brother, Ricky Davis, shared that his brother had big dreams of becoming a successful rapper to provide a better life for their mother, who had been raising 5 children alone. He simply wanted to succeed for his mama, the brother expressed. "It's all about the Chicago music. If people weren't creating that music, none of this would be happening." In July 2013, the Flyboy Gang released a music video called Murda, featuring Young X Dutchy as the lead rapper. He rapped about his young friends being ready to commit violence and mentioned K.I. as a young killer. The video showed Gakira with male and bigger companions. She appeared small but confident, holding a gun at one point. There was another scene where intruders tried to rob the gang but realized they were outnumbered, sending a clear message that messing with the Flyboy Gang could lead to serious consequences. The video also hinted at their desire for a recording contract, similar to what Chief Keef received. On April 9th, Keef's 30-year-old nephew, Mario Hess, was shot and killed. Some online speculation pointed towards Gakira as the hitter, though the police never considered her a suspect in this case. Gakira didn't directly mention the shooting online, but she did share a line from a Biggie Smalls song in a tweet. However, she could be referring to her recent losses. Just 12 days earlier, the police shot and killed a 19-year-old member of her gang named Rayson. On April 10th, she posted a tweet mourning the loss of many friends who had passed away. The next day, April 11th, a hooded attacker approached Gakira near Eberhart Street, close to where O.D. Perry was killed in 2011. Barnes fell to the ground after being fatally shot multiple times. Despite efforts to save her, she couldn't be saved and passed away before reaching the hospital. Multiple eyewitnesses and law enforcement documents stated that King Von was identified as the hooded person responsible for the shooting of Gakira. 2 other people were targeted in the incident, but luckily survived. There was not much evidence linking him to the homicide, so King Von didn't face any charges at that time, and he remained free until he died in 2020. Gakira was buried next to her father, whom she had lost on her first Easter. Later, it was revealed that Gakira K.I. Barnes wasn't the only Gangster Disciples member whose death Von was responsible for. He was also said to be involved in the death of another high-profile member, FBG Duck. FBG Duck's death. FBG FBG Duck, whose real name was Carlton Weekly, was born in Chicago in 1993 and grew up in the dangerous south side of the city. He got involved with gangs and street life at a young age. Later, he became a prominent figure in the Flyboy gang, adopting the FBG prefix and associating with gangster disciples. As his rap career took off during his late teens, FBG Duck faced violence and rivalries with other gangs and rappers. Through his music, FBG Duck expressed his turbulent life and cherished memories of those he lost. He released several mixtapes, including The Different Personalities in 2015, its follow-up Different Personalities 2 Inches in 2017, and the emotionally charged Look at Me 2 Inches in 2018. On August 4th, 2020, FBG Duck lost his life in a broad daylight ambush. He was shot 21 times while waiting in line with his girlfriend and another friend at the famous Dolce & Gabbana store on E Oak Street, Chicago. His girlfriend and friend were also injured during the incident. Fingers were immediately pointed in the direction of King Von due to his long-standing rivalry with Duck. Their beef had started due to the historical gang feud, dating back to 2011 when Tuka was killed. This led to several deadly confrontations, including the deaths of important members like O.D. Perry and Gaka Barnes. As King Von and FBG Duck became rappers, they used their gang history and rivalry to create diss tracks, openly insulting each other's groups. The tension escalated when FBG Duck released a music video disrespecting 9 members of O Block who were killed during gang wars. While FBG Duck's fans accused King Von of being involved in Duck's death, Von denied any part in it. After FBG Duck passed away, King Von stated that they had resolved their differences and were working towards unity for their community's betterment. An old tweet even surfaced where Von had teased a collaboration between them. Despite their past hatred, King Von expressed regret over FBG Duck's loss. 2 weeks after the incident, the Chicago police received crucial information from an informant who was in custody at the time. The informant told the police that the Black Disciples gang, specifically O Block, offered $50,000 to anyone who could kill Duck. The reward was later increased to $100,000. Another source said that FBG Duck had a price on his head, but the person offering the money was kept secret. The informant shared important information that the person responsible for this bounty had recently ordered custom necklaces for Black Disciples O Block members. Later, the FBI got involved 7 months after Duck's death and requested permission to analyze the cell phones of some suspects in the shooting. During the investigation, they found a video of Von getting pendants for his friends shortly after Duck's death. In September 2021, the community was shocked by a federal indictment accusing 5 people from O Block of racketeering and murder, specifically linked to the tragic killing of Duck. The 5 individuals charged are Christopher Thomas, also known as C. Thang, Charles Liggins, known as C. Murda, Marcus Smart, known as Muwop, to Carlos Offord, known as Los, and Kenneth Robertson, known as Kenny Mack. Their trial is still pending, and the seriousness of the situation has everyone in their gang feeling tense. There was even a 6th suspect who, according to police records, took his own life about a month before facing trial. It is also worth noting that Von was already dead at the time. In a YouTube video, Von talked about designing exquisite jewelry for specific crew members, including C. Murda and Muwop, as mentioned in the FBI affidavit. According to an informant, Robertson, also known as Kenny Mack, declined the jewelry, allegedly due to his affiliation with the gangster disciples. However, court records also suggest that he considered O Block his second home. How he managed to be affiliated with both gangs remains unclear. Duck had always received death threats from rival gang members, and to protect himself, he was cautious about revealing his whereabouts. The police checked the surveillance footage from a place on Oak Street. They overheard a conversation on a cell phone, and the person said they saw Duck shortly before he was killed. According to the police affidavit, the O Block gang members left Parkway Gardens in a Chrysler 300 and a Ford Fusion about 20 minutes before the shooting. Investigators tracked the vehicle's movements using cameras and an automated license plate reader. On the day of the incident, at exactly 4:26 p.m., the cars pulled in on Duck's girlfriend's car. 2 people got out of the Ford Fusion and started shooting at the rapper. Another pair from the Chrysler also pointed their guns at him. The attackers then fled in the mentioned cars, registered under Offord and Roberson's names. Police records indicate that investigators confidently linked the ballistic evidence found at the crime scene to 5 other gang-related shootings, which caused 1 death and injured 5 people. However, no suspects have been arrested in connection with those shootings. In February 2021, Robertson, also known as Kenny Mack, was arrested for Duck's death. Before that, he was already facing charges for a different shooting in Dolton, where 1 man died and 2 women were injured. Currently, Robertson is in federal custody and is dealing with multiple felony charges connected to that case. King Von's death. King Von, whose real name was Davion Daquan Bennett, was born in Chicago, Illinois on August 9, 1994. He grew up in a big family with 9 siblings, 6 half-siblings from his father's side and 3 from his mother's. One of his well-known siblings is his sister, Kayla B., a charismatic social media personality. He had a tough childhood because his father, Walter Silk Bennett, wasn't around much due to his involvement with the law, so his mother and some of his siblings played a significant significant role in raising him. When he was just 11 years old, his father fell victim to a gang-related shooting. Growing up in Chicago, King Von attended Hyde Park Academy, where he looked up to the famous rapper G Herbo. He got into hip-hop, drawn by its raw and authentic storytelling. Sports were another passion for him, especially baseball. He even played on his school's varsity team. Unfortunately, at 16, legal troubles led to his imprisonment, disrupting his high school journey. Despite the setbacks, he continued his education in juvenile detention, earning his GED. Afterward, he enrolled at South Suburban College in Holland, Illinois, but his academic aspirations were disrupted again when he faced a first-degree murder charge in 2014. He was later acquitted, but the incident pushed him to focus on his music career instead. Let's take a closer look at the first-degree murder charge that could have put him away for life if he wasn't acquitted. This incident took place on July 24, 2014, during a house party where King Von and an associate, Big Mike, ran into Malcolm Stuckey, a college student and a member of the rival gang, Gangster Disciples. At the party, Stuckey and another person disrespected Von, making him very angry. So Von and Big Mike left the party, but they came back with a gun, ready to confront the situation. Outside the house, Von shot at Stuckey and the other person. Stuckey died, and the other person got seriously hurt. They were arrested, and Big Mike agreed to testify against Von, admitting he also fired a shot that wounded someone. But later, Big Mike changed his mind and decided not to testify. Without his testimony and other important witnesses, the case against Von got weaker. Mike was sentenced to 28 years in prison for aggravated battery with a firearm, but Von was cleared of all charges. Despite Big Mike's decision not to testify, his statement to the police raised suspicions about Von's actions and character, leading to him being labeled as a snitch within the gang. Big Mike is the sibling of another rapper, Wooski, who is originally from O Block in Chicago. However, Wooski started hanging out with their rivals from STL, a group formed by two sets of gangster disciples known as St. Lawrence and E Block territory. These blocks are very close to O Block, and they joined forces against O Block and other rival gangs, a bond that has lasted for many years. When Wooski was just 12 years old, he allegedly had to leave O Block after being involved in a shooting that resulted in the death of an associate. After leaving O Block and Black Disciple, he settled in St. Lawrence and E Block territory and became close friends with other gangster disciples rappers like Lil Jojo, Lil J, and FBG Duck. For a long time, Wooski and Von had a public and intense feud on Twitter. They would taunt each other, make fun of fallen members, and challenge each other, even daring to predict who would meet their end first. In October 2018, Wooski attended a memorial service for his close friend, Dusky Daman. Wanting a moment alone, he stepped outside the church to smoke a cigarette. However, things took an unexpected turn. As he stood outside, a sudden and violent hail of gunshots, known as Draco shots, erupted, and he was shot in the head. He was rushed to the hospital and underwent emergency surgery. He survived. In 2018, Von saw his friend, Lil Durk, succeed in the music industry. Inspired, he decided to try his luck too, aiming to improve his life with the support of his friends. Lil Durk brought him into his record label, OTF. On December 6, 2018, Von released his debut single, Crazy Story, with Durk's backing. The song quickly gained popularity, putting Von in the spotlight. Initially, it was tough for him because he wasn't used to having cameras on him every time, but under Durk's guidance, he adapted well. Over the following years, Von continued to release music. He collaborated extensively with Lil Durk, which helped grow his fan base. In June 2019, Von and Lil Durk were arrested for their alleged involvement in a shooting incident in Atlanta on February 5, 2019. They were accused of robbery, shooting, and other serious charges. However, they were able to secure bail, with Von set at $300,000 and Durk's at $250,000. Interestingly, in what has become a common trend for many artists, this legal situation boosted Von's fame. Strangely enough, it also pushed his career to new heights. He even went on tour with Lil Durk, achieving financial success, and stopped living on the streets. On November 6, 2020, Von and his group left Opium nightclub and went to the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. Von, being a felon with a pending case involving Lil Durk, was not allowed to have a firearm. Around 2:15 a.m., an altercation happened between Von, rapper Quando Rondo, and their crews outside the hookah lounge. They got into a heated argument that turned violent, and shots were fired. During the fight, Quando Rondo and Von had a physical confrontation, and one of Quando Rondo's associates, Lil Tim, allegedly shot Von multiple times, causing chaos. In the confusion, Lil Tim was also shot by one of Von's friends, and two officers from different locations fired their weapons. In the end, 6 men were shot, and Von and 2 others lost their lives. Lil Tim was arrested as he was believed to be responsible for Von's death, thanks to surveillance footage capturing the incident. Von's career, though promising, came to a sudden end, leaving only his music for his dedicated fans. In April 2023, a 4-hour documentary titled King Von Rap's First Serial Killer appeared on YouTube. The filmmaker Trap Laura Ross created it more than 2 years after Von's death. The documentary claimed that Von was a notorious serial killer and was was linked to 10 brutal murders, including Malcolm Stuckey, Modell, and Gaka Barnes. Even though Vaughn had been cleared of Stuckey's murder while alive, Chicago authorities concluded that he was responsible for Gakira's death in 2021. Many said it was easy for the police to attribute those murders to him since he was dead. In Chicago, the police often solve unsolved murders by attributing them to deceased individuals, which closes the case. In this case, Vaughn has been connected to many past deaths, so the police may be genuine with the claims. The documentary also revealed that Vaughn played a central role in several other gang-related killings. According to the documentary, Vaughn's initial motivation for the murders was gang disputes, but over time, he became driven by the thrill of taking lives. The film received much praise, but faced objections from Vaughn's family and devoted fans, leading to its initial removal from YouTube. However, it later resurfaced, giving the public another chance to witness the dark tale. If you found this video engaging, simply tap the card showing on your screen now to access additional videos uncovering hip-hop culture.